Okay guys, I'm just trying to teach you, well, give you a tutorial about how to create a graph. I did sort of start to try and create the graph and talk you through it, but it was going on for ages, so I've just come to in at the end. But basically, when you've got your results like this in your table, you've got all these different, so this is similar to the marble experiment that we've done. So this table here shows the distance travelled by a marble over 8 different surfaces. Surfaces down this column, then the 3 trials, and then the average worked out here. And when it's when it's 62.6, because it's 0.6, basically 0.5 or above, you round it up. So this has been rounded up from 62.6 to 63. This has been rounded up from 55.6 to 56. Here 119.3 has been rounded down to 119, and 196.3 has been rounded down to 196. So how do we put this on a graph? Well, the first thing you want to do is plot your axes. Axis here, you've got one up on this side, and then the bottom one here. Now as you can see, it's not right on the bottom of the graph paper and it's not right on the side. It's 2 squares in and 2 squares up, giving you space to label your axes. So this bottom one I've labelled surface. I haven't put all the information in here like the carpet, sandpaper, brown paper, because it gets very cluttered. So what I've done is I've coloured my bars and I've created a legend up here. So you can see each of these here have got the colour. So carpet is blue, so I know that is this column here. Sandpaper is orange, so this is sandpaper. This brown paper is brown, and so on. Now when you're doing your axes, so I've got 8 surfaces, so you're 8 squares along. Now some people sometimes put gaps in between their bars. If I'd done this here, it probably would have spread right across the page. I might not have had room to put my legend in here. So you need to think about things beforehand. Now the axis going up here, and you've got to label your axis as well, so I have labelled this just surface. So you still need to label it, even though you haven't got the types of surface, you still need to say that this is the surface axis here. That's what's being represented on this axis. Up on this axis we've got distance travelled, and you can see just here I put centimetres. So that means that all these measurements, all these numbers are in centimetres, and you need that little bit just to let them to know what units you've measured in. Okay, so you can see here we actually have 0 to 200, and you've always got the axis must always start at 0. And here, because obviously I haven't got 200 squares, I figured out that my largest measurement was 196 once I'd rounded it down. So I thought, well, might as well go to 200, and that nicely works into 20 squares, 10 centimeters per square. So then you've gone 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, up to 200. And when you're labeling this axis, you always label on the line. Measurement on the line, not in the square. It's on the line, and we'll get a bit more into that just in a moment. So for the carpet measured, well, the average was 63 centimeters. So it got a nice 60 there, but obviously there's no 63, so what you need to do is you need to get a ruler, and when you're drawing your bars you need to make sure you do use a ruler. So I just then measured 3 millimeters up from, so I used a half there, and then go 1, 2, 3, and then I drew a line across. So that was then 63, because each of these squares is a centimeter. So here, what was it, 56 was the next one, so that was 6 mils up from the line, making that a total of 56, and so on for all of these. If you get a nice one like we did here for the concrete, ended up at 80, so I could just put that bang on the 80 line there. And then when you've done all your columns with your ruler, you just need to make sure that you colour them in nice and straight, and then that they correspond to your legend. And make sure you put a title on as well, because people want to know what the graph is showing. So my title here is distance travelled by a marble over different surfaces, and it just pretty much explains what the graph shows. And this graph is pretty useful. I can instantly look at this and go, okay, what's the green bar? Okay, it's wet area floor. It went the furthest on the wet area, much further than any others. The next one was probably the brown paper, and the surface it went shortest on was the purple one. That's paper towel. Now you can get into more detail if you want. You can then use a ruler and go, you can actually use it to measure precisely and go, okay, the brown paper went around about, what was it? Well, it looks like about 144 maybe. And look, you can then go, yep, it was 144. Because when you represent your graph, you will also represent your table in your results, and then you'll interpret them. But when you interpret graphs and tables, you don't tell them, you don't write what you why you think you've got the results. You just tell them what you can see from here. So you can say, well, I can see the wet area, the marble went furthest on the wet area, and that, you might even say, well, that's it's about 50 centimeters more than it did on the brown paper. The marble went the shortest on the paper towel, but that was close to the sandpaper and the carpet. And we can also see that only 4 surfaces had a measurement of over a meter, which is tin foil, brown paper, baking paper, and wet area floor. So you can use a graph nice and quickly to get information, and using it along with your table in your results, you can interpret it and really come up with some good information then to provide people with a good idea of what you found out. Okay, that's pretty much what I'm going to tell you about how to use a graph today and how to create a graph. If you have any more questions, just ask me in the classroom.